some of them were getting $900, some of them were getting $2,300.
Some of them will get $900 and some of them will get $900 plus
Health
insurance.
insurance, yeah.
Right.
Andrew, Harold,
Yeah,
and Carrie.
I'm gonna go home and scream in my pillow about this, but I think that we put the charter at risk, all the work we've done for 10 months for this, it's splitting the baby in half. I think on this particular one, we gotta say, she gets the baby, even though it's ours, because if we risk the whole of all of what we've done to have something, a Pyrrhic victory that might cost us the, and I think there's a compelling argument that seeing the trebling of, or the 2.5 times increase in compensation might be all somebody reads, and then all of other work would go to waste.
Harold and Carrie.
I have a question and a follow-up. So, the question is this: what's the actual deadline to hand the charter to the city council in order to make it on the ballot in a timely manner?
Well,
we don't have to make this by the 18th.
There is
do we?
a long process that they have to go through. If you remember, there are required to be 2 public hearings. They have to be 30 days apart.
Right,
We have to give 21 days notice of each public hearing.
right.
After the second public hearing, they can then take action to put something on the ballot. We have to put that on the ballot at least 88 days before.
And what's 88 days before?
Yeah. So
What is 88 days before?
88 days before election
No,
day.
what's the date? What's 88 days?
If you look at your post.
No, this is not the next, this is the schedule we put together. I don't believe that's 88 days.
August 8th, it would be 88 days.
Okay. My point is this, just listen to this point. We, like or indifferent, have been sweating over the language of this charter. And I think it's really important, and this is a perfect example of it, of making a quick decision for the expediency of a March 18th date, where we should be looking at the language you want to put in this. And we have another month and a half after this date here to do this, so we have at least another meeting where we can come back and go over this language. I strongly recommend that we don't rush to finish this if we're gonna have an additional, and we may, at least even one more additional conversation like this about language we want to change.
I would follow up what Harold said, that kind of discussion could take the form of us giving this to the city, the council, and then saying, we are willing, if you have questions, having been in receipt of it, to come back to us and talk to us about it on any point. It may be something that all of us forgot. We can still be of use to them. I don't think we would be causing damage to the process. They would have the option of coming back to us. We can't require that. And they can be in receipt of it.
But we're not in agreement. Forget about my vote. We're not in agreement.
Carrie.
Well, and let's not forget that we're not necessarily the last stop. I think if this goes to the city council and they retract the payment, if they see that as a problem getting passed, I think it'd be a good move. So it'll be up to them.
Let me just remind, we've all voted on these things at one time or another. Tonight's not the night to rehash the debate, I don't think.
You know, that was the whole purpose of this exercise, was to put together our thoughts and then come back at the final meeting and look at them, and after analyzing them, thinking about them, and talking about them, that we could make changes. We're not, and, you know, as much as I like to be to bed at 9:30, I don't have to be to bed at 9:30 tonight. I'd like to do this and do it right. I think Harold's idea, not Harold, Andrew's idea is great. Would you repeat that again?
I'm just saying,
What you're willing to do?
it's not an idea in the sense that I'm proposing it. I'm just saying that if we look at the question that Harold asked, I'm not saying that I'm saying what he said. If you look at the question that he asked, the committee could choose to offer to interact with the council at a later date if the council had thoughts about the work that we've done and wanted the imprimatur of the committee moving forward. Because this thing's going to be kryptonite for the current council. This is a citizens committee. They don't want to be seen as saying, oh, they worked 10 months and we just by fiat changed their mind, but they might come up with an idea. I would look at it another way, Brad, which is we can save $500,000 or $1 million a year with some of the things we've got in here. I can live with what I perceive to be the ugliness of a $1,500 health plan for a part-time civil public service position. I can live with that ugliness to get all the other things that I want. I don't know. The flip side of it is if I lose, the charter loses because I offended a bunch of voters by what amounts to $20,000, $30,000 a year, I'm gonna feel pretty sick to my stomach.
And here's
I agree
Let
with
me
that,
just step
because
in for a second.
there's things in here that I would have liked in here that didn't, but I was like, just give up on it to get the overall thing going.
We have no new information. This is just a change of mind, okay? And it doesn't matter where we have an end meeting, if somebody changes their mind at the last meeting, no matter if it's now or in a month or 2 months, whatever. We've had 10 months, we've gone over this, you've had months to look at this. And it looks like we're looking to go one of two ways. We could either look at speaking with this language, or we could look at going to the general law language.
That's what we wanna
Can
do.
we
is
take a
go to
vote?
general.
So this is what I wanna do first, is look at, how many people wanna stick with the current language that we have. If that goes down, then we'll go to the other language, okay? So how many people wanna stay with the current language, council member salary, 2,100? Who wanna stay with that?
Should we take two separate votes? It kind of seems like you're, I don't know. What?
We are taking two separate votes.
Take this out.
No, he just said, I'm gonna move on, skip the 2,100, that's what he just said.
Repeat the question.
How many people want to stay with the current language that we have?
Harold is up, Hank is up,
Brad is on?
Brett is up. The rest are down. Were you
So-
sideways or down?
I'm down.
Oh, so that goes down, yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
I am,
now,
I am.
I believe now is we wanna go with language about using the general law language. Yes?
Correct.
Absolutely. If you have a better language or something,
I
sure.
don't have better language, but after all these months of working on this, I'm not in favor of sending this to the council and having them start fighting with it. This is our charge. And I think we need to keep it time if we do it tonight, and finalize it. I'm not in favor of sending this to the council and play with it.
You don't have that choice, that's how the law's written.
Okay.
No, I don't think they are gonna play with it, Lee, I think they're gonna be,
Gene.
it's kryptonite.
I still have a question about the participation in the pension plan. And if that is by law that you're concerned about that, Campbell, or if it's really that you're concerned because of the inequity between a council member that has it
No, I'm
and
concerned
those
about the
going
law.
forward.
I'm concerned about the law. You cannot take it away from someone who already has it.
No, correct.
So, if they decide, if we pass an ordinance that starts at this date, no more pensions for,
Yeah, put a date in here and after that date, there would be no more pensions for the council.
okay, if we put that in the charter, I cannot give you an opinion tonight on what that language should look like. I cannot do it. We spent too much time talking about this before. I'm not in a position to give you language on that tonight.
Could we actually make the vote, subject to whatever Kim finds out? That either the pension issue would be out of here.
Gene, only if we delay, only if we delay the submission of this to the city council,
Carrie.
which I'm in favor of, but that's a whole other thing.
My question is, can you substitute the overall compensation of the current city council member with, on a monthly basis? Put it in here instead of 2,100 and still have it called out on the ballot? Let me repeat it one more time, Yolanda and Kim. Can you take out the 2,100, substitute it for the overall compensation of a council member, and not have it called out on the ballot as a change in salary?
You mean have it say, council will have $2,100 total compensation?
No, like, saying like your total compensation as a council member right now is $943.23.
It's not.
You cannot do that?
Well, but because their insurance benefits are counted as part of their total compensation for certain purposes and not others. In other words, it's not a purgeable component of their compensation, but it's still considered part of their total compensation for what has to be disclosed.
Okay, so I'm just wondering if you could substitute a number in there and not have it called up on the ballot. If you substituted that number and said $1,400,
No, unless we
Still
say, yeah, unless we say stays pursuant to general law.
okay,
Okay, I'm gonna make a suggestion again, one of two suggestions. down the one thing, but I'm just saying, delete the dollar period, keep everything else as is. So, each council member shall receive a monthly stipend for each month or portion thereof, he or she serves in office, blah, blah, blah. If no one likes that, strike the whole thing out of the charter altogether.
If I were Jay Edwards, I would stand up and say, that's city of Bell, because now you have you're not tying it down, they can make $500,000, and the charter wouldn't speak to that, that's even worse.
So we're looking at either striking it or going with the general law language, correct?
Yes, because they would have power to set their own compensation,
Okay,
not in
good point.
conformity with general law if you are silent on the issue. Therefore, you should either stick with the language that you just voted down, or you should say general law.
Can we call the question?
Okay, how many people would like to see
Wait,
the
could I
general
make just
law?
one last point to Harold's point on the issue that we had before that I said, let Kim decide. But I don't think she has to decide by tomorrow. She could decide, 2 weeks from now on the language that would eliminate that.
Can I make an alternative suggestion?
Well, I think the tension, it doesn't look good.
Can I make an alternative suggestion?
Sure.
I understand that's an issue for you guys, and I believe that